The Cleveland Cavaliers are in a weird situation right now in the NBA where there are a lot of issues this team does have. For example, Kobe Altman, the GM, trading away Kevin Porter Jr. for practically nothing, giving his locker away to Taurean Prince, and then of course Kevin Porter Jr. having an absolute meltdown, which ended up led to getting him traded. Again, so many immature things there by KPJ and by our GM. We also see that our GM, has made some questionable decisions like re-signing K Love to a pretty bad contract. Bringing in Andre Drummond didn't end up being the greatest thing. Some might critique the Jarrett Allen move after, again, bringing in Jarrett Allen was a great idea. But could you have gotten him in free agency for free instead of trading up that pick? I guess we'll never know. But one thing that, kind of stays really confirmed in my opinion is that Darius Garland is the future of the Cleveland Cavaliers, no matter what anyone says. If you would like to argue that Darius Garland isn't the future of the Cleveland Cavaliers, I would just like to point out that when Garland is on the floor, the Cavaliers are a much better team than when he's not on it. Currently, in Garland's first season with the Cavs, he had a pretty disappointing rookie season. But, again, he kind of just came straight from high school to the NBA. He averaged 12.3 points per game, 1.9 rebounds, 3.9 assists, 35% from 3 on 30.9 minutes per game. Again, not the greatest stats considering he's playing 31 minutes a game and he's supposed to be, the point guard. But again, a lot of people are calling him a bust after one season. But he came out in his second season and proved that he's one of the most improved players in the NBA, averaging 17.7 points per game, 6.2 assists, 2.4 rebounds, 33.5 minutes per game, and of course about 40% from 3. Now, Garland is a great player. He is one of the really first players in the last 20 years that you can go and say as a Cavs fan, wow, this guy has all-star potential. We look at Kyrie Irving, all-star potential. LeBron James always had all-star potential, of course. Again, both of these players would consistently make the all-star teams, but in that 20 years, Kevin Love, he made a couple all-stars, but other than those three, you don't really see too many other players making the all-star team. I think Mo Williams made it 1 year, but I can comfortably say I think Darius Garland will be a potential all-star in his career. I believe, next season, in his last 10 games to start off with, he's actually been averaging about 23 points per game and about 7 to 8 assists per game as well. Absolutely crazy stats. I think he'll average a similar thing next season. I think he'll average about 23 points and 7 assists per game, which would be absolutely fantastic numbers. I think that there's a huge debate going on right now on who is, the future of Cleveland, Collin Sexton or Darius Garland. And I can definitely say I'm not really too much of a fan of Collin Sexton. When he first came into the NBA, I was very much a big fan. But now watching him, I'm not too sure if the Cavaliers are in extreme amounts of better when they have Collin Sexton on the floor. A lot of you might have been like, well, I obviously don't know anything about NBA because he averages 24 points per game. Of course the team's going to be better. Yes, the team is better in terms of scoring, but again, sometimes it isn't, because we look at, again, Collin Sexton's averaging these 24 points per game, but I'm just very much concerned of him not passing the ball. There's been a rumor that some Cavaliers players were actually concerned about Collin Sexton, saying he doesn't pass the ball. And again, he's averaging 4 assists per game, but you look at Collin Sexton, I see that when he drives a lot, he frees up so much open space, and so many players are open, but instead of opening it to passing it to an open player rather, he takes a really bad shot, and it kind of puts Cavaliers in a bad situation, because often, when he takes that bad shot, he'll be put on the floor, or he'll be behind the player, and then it will create a 4-on-5, and the Cavaliers will have to, be that 4, while Collin Sexton's still, recovering, coming back, or whatever. It is a huge issue. I don't really rate Collin Sexton, to the extreme amounts anymore. I feel like you could get a player in free agency that could average the 20 points per game that he does, but wouldn't need as much as the ball to do it, and would, of course, pass the ball and create much more, ball movement. There are so many players in free agency that Cavs could get to do that. I feel like Collin Sexton, as well, suits more of a team like the Clippers in terms of being a 6-man that can come off the bench and, average you 20 points per game when you need desperate scoring. Of course, the Clippers have had Dennis Schroeder. Not Dennis Schroeder, sorry. They've had Lou Williams to do that. The Lakers brought in Dennis Schroeder to obviously, try and do that as well. We see so many teams do that now, have that scoring type of player. I feel like Collin Sexton will be like that in his career. I think a quick scorer off the bench. But when I look at Darius Garland, I see all-star potential. I see a future. I see a player who I think the Cavaliers should build around. I don't even know if it's even that, again, I'm saying last year comparing Darius Garland to Damian Lillard would have literally been like a crime. But honestly, this year, I don't even think it's really a hot take anymore. If we look at Darius Garland and, his stats compared to, let's just say, Damian Lillard's first season, I believe Damian Lillard was about 22 years of age in his first season. I'm pretty sure something like that. And in Damian Lillard's first season, he's averaging about the exact same that what Darius Garland is right now. I think maybe a little bit worse, but the difference is Darius Garland is a couple of years younger. So, again, Darius Garland has a long, ways away to being someone like, of course, Damian Lillard. But, again, we don't really know. Damian Lillard in his first season averaged 19 and 6.5, and he was about 22, and Garland's averaging about, of course, 18 and 6, so very comparable numbers. I think that Garland has potential to be like Damian Lillard, but I think the Cavaliers do need to build around him. I think a duo of Kevin Porter Jr. and Darius Garland would have been an absolutely great duo. That would have been probably one of the best duos in the NBA, but of course, the Cleveland Cavaliers had to do what they do best and be absolutely stupid and stuff it up, and we know that Kevin Porter Jr. ended up being traded and then ended up, dropping a 50-point game for the Houston Rockets. Look, we never know if Kevin Porter Jr. will ever be an all-star type caliber in his career, just based on the fact that he has immaturity issues and that, who knows, he could end up getting banned one day or something. But I feel like with a team like the Houston Rockets who are going to try and put, a steady place around him, a steady team, some mentors and that to make sure he doesn't get in trouble, I feel like he's on his way to becoming a potential all-star in the league, and a duo of him and Darius Garland would have been one of the best in the league in the upcoming futures. I don't necessarily see a duo of Collin Sexton and Darius Garland being an elite duo, just based on the fact that I don't really rate Collin Sexton as much anymore. His inability to play make, his inability to create ball movement, and the tendencies of hogging the ball. I just don't like it, and as a Cavs fan, I think that it does hurt our team sometimes more than it actually helps us. So it is something to watch out for. How the Cavaliers manager will be interesting. I wouldn't be surprised if the Cavaliers, if they won the lottery, and got like pick 2 or something like that. I wouldn't be surprised if they went out and got like a Jalen Green to partner up with Darius Garland. Look, the defense might not be overall great, but you could have a duo that will average you 40 plus points per game in the near future. Decent ball movement, etc. Would be pretty interesting. I could also see if the Cavaliers fell down in the lottery and there were no, good power forwards available. I could see them going best available and getting a shooting guard. Who knows, like a Keon Johnson or someone like that. That just seems like a Cavs move for some reason to me. Even if a player like Keon Johnson falls down in the lottery, which who knows if will happen, I think I could see the Cavaliers trying to go and get, to partner up with Darius Garland, but it will be really interesting. I also feel like Garland might be being held back by JB Bickerstaff a little bit. Now, you could say that JB Bickerstaff is a good coach or a bad coach. I don't really know. I feel like he deserves one more season, but what I do know is I don't think he's really the future of this Cavs team. A coach that I would have really liked to see the Cavs potentially go after in the near future is actually Mike D'Antoni. I think Mike D'Antoni deserves to be a head coach in the NBA, and I think that he will look to become a head coach in the NBA again very soon. And I think that if I was the Cavaliers, I would definitely maybe even throw him an offer, because if you get D'Antoni working with a team of like Darius Garland, Collin Sexton, Jarrett Allen, like a Keon Johnson type player, who even knows, maybe some players in free agency they could go get, I feel like he could create a really nice offense that maybe even gets Collin Sexton to start, with creating some ball movement and passing the ball a little bit more. Who knows what's going to really happen. But of course, I'd very much like to hear all of your thoughts and opinions on this down below. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel for all the related NBA content and NBA news. Don't forget to subscribe to my gaming channel, MIRO/LongChannels, if you haven't already. And don't forget to check out my podcast as well. Links for them will all be in the description down below. But as I said, thank you guys so much for watching this video. Make sure to leave a like, subscribe, and comment. And I'll see you guys next time. Goodbye.